This 7.5mm F2.0 fisheye lens from TTArtisan is really interesting. Of course, fisheye lenses are quite interesting. Maybe not for everyone, but this lens has some unique features that might change your mind about fisheye lenses. Hi there, my name is Peter Forsgaard and I am a professional photographer from Helsinki, Finland. And before we start talking about the lens, I always have to say the disclaimer when I'm reviewing lenses and gear. This lens was sent to me from TTArtisan and it's not something that I asked. They contacted me and wanted me to make a review of this lens. Even though they asked me to do this review, all the opinion that I say are my own. Like I always do. They don't tell me what to do, what to say, what to do. There will be some info or some links where you can get this lens, and if you follow all the way to the end, there also will be a discount code for TTArtisan lenses to their web store. But now that all that is out of the way, let's start talk about the look and feel. Let's talk about the look and feel of this lens. It's all metal, fully manual, no electronic connections. So if you want to have the exit data going through to your camera, you need to tell the camera what the lens is. And it's very easy with Olympus cameras. And this lens is for APS-C sensor, but it has mount for micro four thirds too, as you can probably figure that out. But it also has mounts for other brand cameras, and I need to check. It's Sony E mount, Fuji X mount, Canon M and R mounts, and Nikon Z mount and Leica L mount. You might wonder, how on earth can you use a lens that's intended to use for APS-C can be used on a full frame body? TTArtisan has a very clever solution for that, and I will tell you what that solution is when I talk about the features that I already mentioned. The focusing ring is in the middle, and it's for me at least, it's quite or in a quite good place. And then there is the aperture ring. Of course, there has to be, because it's a full manual lens, and it has clicks, which is a good thing for photography. At least I like to have the clicks. There's more kind of like a feel to the aperture ring when it's clicking, and it has half a stop clicks all the way up to f5.6. The smallest aperture is f11, which is a bit different. Usually, at least many of the lenses have at least f16, but I don't think it's a big deal, because with the fisheye lens, which has a very wide angle of view, is you know, depth of field is quite huge, so you don't really have to worry about that. And when I talk about fisheye, is this a real fisheye for micro four thirds? Well, yes and no, because it is 150 degrees angle of view, and usually fisheyes are at least 180, so you could argue that it's not a fisheye. The way it looks, or the image looks like a fisheye image, because it's distorted from the edges. But we talk about that when we talk about image quality. But let's continue with another stuff. Well, what about the image quality? I have to say that the image quality in a whole, when you consider the whole thing, the price and everything, is really, really good. And it's really sharp in the middle of the photograph, even at f2.0, and that's a good thing. But of course, this is really a wide lens, really wide, ultra wide angle, and the edges are a bit soft. It might not be a problem in your everyday shooting, general shooting, but for example, in astrophotography, that might be a bit of a problem, because this lens could be potentially a very good lens for astrophotography. And if you want to have the best image quality, you will stop down to f4, or even f5.6. Then the edges are going to be quite nice and sharp. It doesn't really affect the sharpness in the center because it is quite sharp even at f2.0. And there is not bad chromatic aberration, and of course flares are a bit of a concern because it is a bit bulky, the front element, and if you have a straight sunlight into hitting the lens, there might be some flares. But you know, nothing really that serious or bad with everything, you know, with the image quality. And as you can see from the image that I will show you. I hope you enjoyed the images. And before we talk about the special features, let's talk about who this lens is for. And who is this lens for? As you saw, it's a really wide angle lens, and on APS-C sensors it's 180 degrees. But on a Micro Four Thirds it's a super wide angle lens, and of course the things like cityscape landscapes and tight spots like let's say like a dancing floor on a wedding, with this you can get really close. But you have to remember that's a manual focus. For those moments it might be a bit tough if you're not used to manual focus. And then of course you might be tempted to get this but from astrophotography, and it really works with astrophotography that is. But the only problem is that the edges are a bit soft. If that's not a problem, then astrophotography is a good genre for this lens. And it's good for vlogging too. Even though it's a manual focus lens, you don't have to worry about the focusing that much because the depth of field is so huge, or there's a lot of depth of field because of the wide angle. It's 150 degrees, like I said already. The only problem might be the distortion that there is in the edges, but it doesn't look that bad, and I might be or start using this lens for vlogging because it's quite convenient to do this, even though I haven't done that so much. But let's see what I can do in the future. Maybe I start vlogging a bit more. Let's continue. And then let's talk about the two features that this lens has. You can use filters with this lens, and the package that I got had two ND filters, ND64 and ND1000. And that's why this lens might be a very good lens for me for video work, because usually this wide you don't really have the ability to use filters. The filters are not in front but in the back. You screw them to the back of the lens, and make sure that you tighten them properly, because if you don't, they might fall off and find themselves inside your camera. And the other one is this quite unique lens cap, where you can screw the middle part off, and then you can use it as a circular fisheye lens for full frame cameras. And I think that's another very unique way of using a APS-C lens on a full frame body. I think it's a clever and quite genius way of making this. So two great features, which the other one is really essential for me, the ability to use ND filters. And before we end this video, let's hear what are my final thoughts. Okay, let's talk about the plus and minuses first. Well, let's start with the minuses. There are two things that I did not like about this. The first one is that it's not weather sealed. I like my lenses to be weather sealed. And the second thing is the unsharpness full open in the edges of the image. That's something that could be a bit better. But as I said, if you stop it down, then it's not a big problem. But on the other hand, then it's really sharp in the middle. And what are the pluses? Because I think for me this lens is on the plus side, so it's something that I really love to have. And the first one is of course the special feature that you can use ND filters on this one, like I said. The second one is that it is quite wide without being a true fisheye, and I think that's something that I can maybe use in video, and of course with the ND filters. And then the third thing is that it's quite fast. I think F2 is quite nice because then it's really good for low light too. So all in all, I think this lens and everything about the lens is on the plus side, even though it has a few minor things that could be better, but that's the way it is with every lens. And actually one plus that I did not almost forget to say is the price. It's 149 euros. I think it's a dirt cheap. I know it's not dirty cheap, it's dirt cheap. Because I made a video about another lens. Well, enough of that. And there are links to TTArtisan Webstore. And here is a code that you can get a bit off from the price. But follow the links down below. And if you like this video, then press the thumbs up, because that will give the video some love, and YouTube algorithm likes it when you hit the thumbs up, so please do that. And also go check out the TTArtisan lenses from that will help also my channel when they know that somebody's actually watching these. Here are some more videos about, or one more video about TTArtisan lens that I have tested. But hey, thanks for watching and bye for now.